Welcome back to our kitchen. I'm so glad you're here to cook with us today. My name's Courtney Matlock and I coordinate the food services at Canadian Valley Technology Center's Chickasha campus. And we've been doing a lot of reading lately. And so today I thought it might be fun to do a little snack and story time. And I wanted to share with you one of my very favorite stories. And I've actually had this same book since I was a little girl in 3rd grade. And it's called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by John Sheska. And it's a lot of fun because it's about a wolf, a cup of sugar, and one very big misunderstanding. So today we're just going to go ahead and jump into baking the cake. I'm going to link to me reading this story below. So if you've never heard this fun story from the wolf's point of view, you can click on that link and check it out. So right now we're going to make a cake. Chocolate Coke cake, and who knows, maybe it's the cake the wolf was making for his granny. So let's just dive on in. First things first, make sure you get your mom and dad's permission. Second thing, wash your hands. Girls, did we already wash our hands?
Yeah.
Yes. And make sure your hair's pulled back because nobody wants to find a hair in their food. Yuck. And third, check your ingredients because you don't want to run out of something and have to run and get a cup of sugar like that wolf did in the story because that caused a lot of trouble. So for this recipe to make chocolate Coke cake, you need 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda, not baking powder. Then we're going to move over here and we're going to use a cup of butter, which is 2 sticks, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, a cup of Coke, and a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. And then finally, we'll end up adding 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
I love vanilla.
So let me show you real quick. So for liquid ingredients like buttermilk is liquid, you're going to set your liquid measuring cup here on a flat surface. And this recipe calls for a 1/2 cup. So we're going to fill it to the 1/2 cup. And what you want to do is get down to eye level and you stop where the meniscus or the curve of the liquid is. You stop there and fill it up to that point. Then,
Can I start reading the wolf book?
in a little bit, we can try. So, and then for dry ingredients, Albelle, let me switch you places. With flour, your home ec teacher and the master bakers of the world would tell you to first sift it. But sometimes when you're at home and you're busy, you don't have time to sift it. So the best thing to do is to just kind of gently stir it and then fill it into your cup with a spoon. You don't ever want to pack flour in because then you're going to have a dry cake. And ew, yuck, who likes a dry cake? Not me. And then you can take a little knife and level it off like so. And there we go. Now we have 2 cups of flour. So those are our ingredients. Ellis, will you dump the flour into the big red bowl? Good job. And then the sugar. Yep.
She has the main part.
And then the next 3 ingredients, salt, baking soda, and cinnamon, all just get dumped in. That's okay, that's good enough. While she's doing that, I'm going to move this pan out of the way. When I sprayed it, I held it over the sink to spray it with the cooking spray. That way there wasn't spray that went all over the kitchen. One less thing to clean up. So I'm going to put this over here until we need it. All right, Ellis, give that a stir, babe. Now Emily's going to put our ingredients in our saute pan that we're going to bring to a boil. So will you pour this Coke in, Emily? Our cup of Coke is going in. Did you know you could cook with Coke? That's pretty fun, huh? Not just for drinking. All right, and then the 2 sticks of butter. You can touch it since you washed your hands. Good girl. And the
Cocoa powder.
Yes, 1/4 cup cocoa powder.
It's like a tower, Mommy. It's like a tower.
Like a tower. And then a half a cup of buttermilk
What's buttermilk?
right here.
It's kind of like a volcano.
And then we are going to put this on the stove and bring it to a boil. So each stick is a half of a cup, so little math for you. Half a cup plus half a cup equals 1 cup. So 2 sticks is 1 cup of butter. We're gonna bring this to a boil and let it melt. And once it's melted and boiling, we're gonna pour it over here into our bowl that Ellis is stirring up nicely for us. That's one of my favorite things about this recipe is that you just heat it and not many bowls to get dirty. So you just use 1 saucepan, 1 big mixing bowl. You don't have to get out your mixer or a blender or anything like that to clean later. It's pretty simple. So that's one of my favorite things about making this recipe. One other thing about measuring, you use these are called measuring spoons. Mine are a cute little heart shape. And you use these for both liquid and dry ingredients in small quantities. So, all right, so we are here watching our pot try to boil, which they always say, a watched pot never boils, so might be making a mistake. But pretty soon this will start boiling. And I'm just stirring it a little bit so it doesn't stick and burn. All right, a rolling boil is when big bubbles come to the surface and burst.
It looks like it's gonna get higher and higher.
So I'm gonna pull this off the heat because that looks to me like it is boiling well, and I don't want it to overflow because that's not any fun. So let's turn off the heat. Oh no.
That was a close one.
All right, so I'm gonna get this spoon out of the way.
That was so close.
All right, Alice.
Flew over.
I'm gonna pour it and you whisk, okay?
Then I get to squish the eggs.
It's heavy. Really, it feels heavy.
Can I try?
Good for your muscles.
Muscles are strong.
My mom does a body work every single day.
Muscles are very strong.
All right, so I'm gonna put this out of the way. Good job, Ellis.
It smells very good. You
Can
can
I
see
squish the
some.
eggs yet?
Hold on, Emily.
That's okay. So to whisk, the first thing you noticed we used a big wooden spoon and we stirred. But now this is called a whisk. And we are whisking so it's all smoothly combined together. So Emily has some eggs for us here in a Ziploc bag. And she's gonna squish them up for us. Em, can you
And
hold them?
two squish the Ziploc baggies, put the eggs in the small ones and
Yeah,
cover
go
it
ahead.
up with the big one.
That's right. And you know why we did that?
So
like,
if
in
it
case
accidentally
one
breaks
pops.
open.
So this is an easy way if you have a toddler at home or a baby brother or sister. This is a fun way for them to be able to get in on the cooking action too, is to squeeze the egg inside. I remember doing this with my mom. It was one of my very first memories
pour it
in
in.
the kitchen.
Okay, pour it in
Remember when
and
Evelyn
stir
did it
it.
on the trampoline?
Pour it and stir it.
Okay, so Emily, you can pour it.
I need
Ellis,
this
you can stir.
I need this.
We'll come closer to you. Ellis, go ahead and start stirring because this is hot and we don't want our eggs to curdle inside here.
And boy,
You don't like scrambled eggs.
That's right.
yeah, it can get scrambled.
Good job. And then Emily, go ahead and add the vanilla. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then once that is all combined, we're gonna pour it into our greased pan. The recipe says to use a 9x13 pan, but I find it's a little bit easier to use a little bit bigger pan because you want to leave enough room for the yummy warm glaze that you pour on top. And sometimes in a little bit smaller pan, that's okay, we'll get it in a minute. In a smaller pan, sometimes it will run over and you don't want to do that. So, all right, Emily, let me have this. And I am going to pour our warm batter into our pan. I really want to lick this, but since I'm on camera, you'll catch me. I'm not gonna do it. It'll be good.
Tastes good.
Does it taste good? My taste testers say it tastes good. So this is ready to go in the oven.
Can we put frosting on it?
We will in just a minute. It's gonna go into the oven for about 27 to 30 minutes. Check it at 27 because you can always add a little bit more time to it, but you can't take time off. So I'm gonna add this into our preheated oven to 350. Ooh, that is a heavy pan. And we'll set the timer for 27 minutes and check it. So now it's time for us to start working on the ooey gooey, warm, delicious glaze. Our cake is almost done in the oven, and we're gonna pour this glaze on while it's still hot. So we go ahead and make it now. So what it calls for is a stick of butter. That on some heat. A half a cup of Coke, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, and we're gonna melt this and bring it to a boil. Okay, so once this goes ahead and comes to a boil, and boiling is when bubbles rise to the top and burst, we are going to pull it off the heat and add 4 cups of powdered sugar, or the fancy word for that is confectioner's sugar. Not granulated sugar. Granulated sugar is what we used earlier. This is powdered sugar. See how it's nice and kind of fluffy? It would be fun to play in. Could also make a really big mess if you're not careful. So we're gonna whisk that in to this hot chocolatey Coke mixture. Oopsie, I'm making a mess myself. And now at this point, this recipe calls for a cup of chopped pecans. If you're making this recipe for somebody that loves nuts, go ahead and stir them in right now. But if maybe you're making this to take to somebody's house, somebody may just had a new baby, or you might be going to a potluck somewhere, you might leave the nuts off, or just put them on top where they can pick them off easily if they see them and don't want them, or just put nuts on half of it. Maybe somebody has a nut allergy, and that way they can still enjoy the cake without the nuts. So once this is nice and smooth, we'll pull that cake right out of the oven and pour it on.
Wow, that is pretty chocolatey.
And it has the perfect shape for the pan, right? Mom, is this the perfect shape for that pan?
I'm gonna grab our cake tester.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
How do you know if the cake's ready?
It's done. All right, so let's pour the glaze on.
It looks like the same. It looks like
It's
a cake.
Mommy, can I put the nuts on?
Look, it's taking the form of a band. Oh look, you can hear the Coke popping. Can you hear the Coke popping?
So the cake has been frosted with the warm, gooey icing, and it's been topped with nuts. Now all that's left is just to take a nice big bite of it. So here's one with nuts. Ellis has requested a slice without nuts.
I
Oh,
still like
wrong.
pecans. I just want to try it without nuts first.
Sure.
Whoa, all the gooey icing just went under it.
The texture of the pecan gives it a nice crunch, and the gooiness and warm of the chocolate can't beat it. All it needs is a scoop of creamy vanilla ice cream. I wonder if that wolf would let us borrow some. I hope you enjoy and have as much fun making it and reading the story as we did. See you next time.
That glaze is really good.
Bye.